Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are looking at the method of cooking. The one we're gonna cover today is the method of cooking meat by concentration. This is one of the theory you need to know about cooking. That's the first thing we're gonna see. We're also gonna cover how first instant sauces. This is also what you learn to do in France when you are in a culinary school. So recipe of the day, very simple, pan-fried pork chop with a mustard and gherkin sauce. In French it's called Cote de porc charcutières. It's a very well-known dish and it's a very traditional one. But let's not waste any more time and let's start cooking. Look at this. This is exactly what you need to make the pork chop with our special sauce. All the details are in the video description for the precise ingredients. This is just the overview. You got the pork chops, butter, some shallots, black pepper, Dijon mustard, salt, white wine, gherkins and some premium veal stock. That's all you need to make that delicious recipe. Alright, so our recipe of the day, pork chop with a mustard and gherkin sauce. It's an entry-level preparation and we're going to be using a cooking method of concentration, I'll just explain. And we're going to make an instant sauce. So first off, reminder as always, before you start cooking, as you can see here, I've got everything prepared. I've got my pan, I've got my stock ready, my white wine, my mustard. I have finely sliced or chopped the echallots or shallots in English. And I've also made a julienne of gherkins. I've seasoned my chops on both sides with salt and pepper. Okay, so you need to have all this ready. So you don't need to run around in the kitchen and stuff like that. So first off, I'm putting my heat on medium high to start with. A little bit of oil, so don't overdo the oil. That's always one thing. And in French cooking, a lot of time we just always add a little bit of butter. And this is what I'm going to do. So, what do we mean by cooking by concentration? I'll just show you this in a second. Bang! You see that? I put my two chops in the oil and butter. And what's going to happen now, it's basically, as you know, it's going to get brown under the chops and there's a crust that's gonna start to form. When I turn my chops over, I'm gonna have that second crust and the whole chop is gonna be covered or sealed with that crust. And the result of that is that all of the juices inside the meat are gonna be sealed on the inside, and while you're cooking, all the flavors won't be able to escape. And this is what it's called, a cooking method by concentration. It's that simple. I've put a little icon on the screen so you can have a look, and you see these arrows. Basically it means all the tastes are concentrated on the inside of the meat. Very important. Now another quite important things to remember, you don't use that, a fork. You don't prick your meat when you cook them. And the reason for that is because you're doing that concentration and you're trying to have the juices to stay inside. If you start making holes, what's going to happen? All the juices are going to escape and you're going to end up with a dry meat. That's the reason. So, first step, let's cut the talking for a bit. You leave the chops for around 5 minutes on each side. And when it's nice and brown, I'm going to turn them over. Alright, so after 5 minutes, you check the color of your meat and most likely it's gonna be ready. Look at that. Lovely. And then you're gonna turn them and without moving them around, you're gonna leave them for another 4 to 5 minutes on that side. Alright. The chops are done. As you can, if you want to check, you see they're nice and firm, so it means they're really cooked enough. I put them in a small container and I'm gonna reserve the chops in an oven about 65 degrees Celsius or maybe 120 Fahrenheit. The other thing you're gonna do, and I'm gonna do that off camera, is you're gonna take your pan and you see that excess of grease, you're gonna chuck that away and you just leave a little bit of the fat with these traces. You want to keep that, that's what we're gonna use. So I do that and I come back on the camera. Okay, and now for the sauce making. These instant sauces, the way we make it in France, it's very simple. Basically, it goes that way. When you've cooked your meat, you get all of these juices that I've reduced and they stick to the pan. So what we do, we have a bit of fat in here. We're just gonna start by putting just our shallots, but you don't burn. Again, that's also a very important thing. You don't try to burn the mix. So again, it's more that process of getting the shallots to sweat a little bit. So be very careful. You want that nice fragrance of the shallots. And it's very all about the control of the temperature and make sure your pan is not too hot. As you can see here, it can go very, very fast. That's why I add some butter. Okay, so you make sure your shallots are staying here just a little bit. So you start to mix the taste, because that's how it goes. The shallot with the juices of the meat, the salt, the pepper, you know, and everything like this. When it gets a bit dry like that, immediately you can put the fire a bit higher, and we're gonna take our wine and bang. All right? And the fire can stay on high. And what I'm doing here, I'm cleaning the pan. Look at this. It's not burned, it smells delicious, that kind of, you know, white wine vapors. We love wine in France, I mean, let's not deny that. But basically, this is the start. This is also a very, very classic method. You will see that over and over again. Instant sauces, always like this. You cook your meat, shallots, you deglaze with a wine, a red or white. We're gonna reduce that and then we're gonna add our stock. Alright, so as you can see here, my wine is almost all gone, and that's what you want, otherwise it can become a bit acidic. So you really want to have almost no wine left. It's down to a glaze again. And then from here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna simply add some stock, but not too much. Maybe 1 or 2, maybe 100 milliliter, which is like 10 centiliter of stock, just to get our sauce going. So again, we're gonna wait until it reduces a little bit, and we're gonna continue with the process. Now let's note that I'm making a very small amount of sauce. I'm just making 2 chops, right? That's why it doesn't look like there's tons of it, don't worry. So when you get this, as you can see here, the consistency gets a bit thicker. It has reduced, and already we start to build the sauce, and like the Navarin, it's a step by step, block by block, that you actually build your sauce. You see, it starts to look like a sauce, but again, it's not finished. At this stage, you put your heat off, and we're gonna add a little bit of mustard. The heat has to be off, and you don't want to boil mustard. So I'm gonna use 1 teaspoons of mustard, and also like a mayonnaise, that is gonna start to make that liaison, as we call it in French, and that's gonna make our sauce even better. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna make sure, I'm gonna keep stirring, make sure all of the mustard is diluted. You don't want it to boil. When that's done, I'm gonna filter that mix in here, in another pan, and finish my sauce. Alright, and now for the final touch, I'm trying to bring you as close as I can to the action, but already I wanted to show you. Do you see the sauce? Look at that color. This is a mustardy, brownish color, and the sauce is almost done, but it's not finished. From here, what we do, we're gonna add a julienne of gherkins, because I was talking about the gherkins. Don't worry, they are here. Okay, I'm gonna stir them in a little bit. That's gonna give that nice kind of pickles-like taste. And we're gonna continue our sauce. We're gonna raise, as we call it in French, we're gonna raise our sauce with butter. So instead of using cream, you use nudges of butter that you're gonna patiently stir in like this until the butter melts, and what's gonna happen is gonna give you that silky consistency. The cream contains in the butter plus the fat and the other elements are all gonna come together to make that delicious, gherkin and white wine sauce. So when this is done, I'm gonna take out my chops out of the oven and dress up the plates. Alright, so let's dress this up. So I'm hearing nowadays that basically the chops are the star of the show and you should not put a sauce on top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put the sauce at the bottom of that plate, right? And then I'm gonna take one of my beautiful chops out of my very hot pan. Sorry, I'm not a pro at this, and you're just gonna put your chops over here. And perhaps I'm just gonna serve it with a few sprinkles of black peppercorn. And of course, our julienne or little cubes of gherkin, just to make it a bit nice. I've got in the back some pumpkin roasted in the oven. It will go very nicely with this. And if we want, we got a bit more of the sauce. But that's it, guys, for today. This is the pork chop with the mustard and gherkin sauce. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.